Corporation's central office. With that, we'll call this meeting to order. First with the Pledge of Allegiance. I've asked Mr. Clauser to lead us. If you could stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, we'll have roll call. All members are present, and Mrs. Hutchison is joining us from the Netherlands remotely, so we are all here. We have a quorum. Next is mission statement. Mrs. Jones, could you lead us in the mission statement?
Lebanon Community School Corporation challenges everyone every day to reach a new best.
Thank you. Next, we have approval of minutes for the April 16th, 24 regular meeting. They are included in your board packet. Do we have a motion to adopt those minutes?
I'll motion.
Mrs. Jones, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hendricks, a motion and a second. Any additional comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have superintendent's announcements and celebrations.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. I have several announcements this evening. First, I wanted to congratulate Ava Limcooler, who was one of 13 students honored from the IHSAA as a Eugene Cato Scholarship winner. We were fortunate to have two winners in the last few years from Lebanon Schools, a prestigious award for scholar athletes. And so just wanted to recognize her for one of 13 of many applicants from across the state of Indiana. You might have seen on social media that we are taking part of our guiding principles in service to heart in Lebanon schools, and Ms. Coddington's class recently went to the kindergarten classrooms at Central Elementary and had designed activities for them, and spent some time with some word recognition and just some great games that they had created for them as part of their project in her English class. And so I encourage people to go out to social media, Facebook, and look at that. Just wanted to celebrate that our students are giving back and learning through service as well as in the classroom. So just want to take a moment to congratulate her and her students for that. I put in your background notes a thank you that we received from the city of Lebanon, thanking our grounds crew for the fine job that they do. You know, we risk taking for granted the great crews that we have. The same crew that makes our fields playable in the spring and the fall are the ones that are plowing the snow in the winter as well. And just wanted to take a moment and recognize them and thank the city for taking time out of their day to thank our gentlemen for doing a great job up at the baseball park. Want to celebrate our transportation department. They once again had a full inspection where all of our buses passed. By the time the state police left the premises, there were a couple little minor things that they pointed out, but our great mechanics were able to rectify those before the state police even left the campus. So 100% of our buses, and a tribute to the great job that our transportation does as well. Wanted to take a moment too just to thank publicly annually our Kiwanis and Rotary clubs from around Boone County celebrate the top 20 graduates at all three Boone County high schools. We're happy to be the host for that annually. Some great pictures and a link that I put in your background notes for that celebration, but we just appreciate our partnership and support from our community organizations such as Kiwanis and Rotary. Put in your background packet as well a letter from the the ISSMA, the School Music Association in the state of Indiana, congratulating our band department for the All Music Award for the 23-24 school year. Only schools that are engaged in jazz, organizational solo and ensemble contest, organizational concert band contest, marching band contest, and are accomplished in all of those areas are able to be awarded the All Music Award. And so I put in your notes that congratulations letter. So congratulations, Mr. Kessler, and all of the band folks that made that happen this school year. Exciting opportunity. We were contacted recently by the Pilot Company, the truck stop, Pilot Truck Stops. They've been undergoing a renovation here at the Lebanon site, and they have a community outreach as part of that when they're doing renovations. And they reached out to us and wanted to make us aware that they have a $10,000 donations available to the local school districts where they're renovating the pilots. Mr. Dennis put in the application, and we were awarded that $10,000, and we are going to earmark that for STEM education and STEM equipment to go along with our recent Lilly donation to beef up that program. I will be asking the board to accept that donation in 30 days or so when the check actually comes to us, but I wanted to take a moment to recognize that. So with that, other than just to remind folks that we have just a little program going on Friday evening in the gymnasium to recognize our graduates, and I got to spend some time with them today during rehearsal, and just super proud of them, and that's why we're all here. That's why we're all sitting up here, and it culminates in our graduation. So congratulations to the senior class of 2024. That's all I have.
Well, thank you, Dr. Millman. I'm going to turn it back over to you, though, with recognition of the 2024 Tiger Ambassador graduation.
get up for this one.
Yes.
All right. This was the inaugural year for a program that we started here in Lebanon Community School Corporation called the Tiger Community Ambassadors. And we did a call out in our community for folks to apply to be part of this group. And we accepted 12 community members and some parents, some community members, to be part of this group. And the goal of this group is to help educate members of our community on the operations of school districts. It's a very complex organization, much more complex than the hour or so board meetings that you see on a monthly basis. So these folks sacrificed several evenings throughout the course of the school year and received presentations from our business department, from our operations, curriculum, assessment. They learned about school lunches and how many students we feed. We really go in depth about how we finance things and how many rules, whether they're state rules or federal rules, that we have to follow. And it's very enlightening, I think, for our ambassadors that did that. So we'll be sending out another application here recently, or after this presentation tonight. In a couple weeks, we'll be asking for the next group of Tiger Community Ambassadors. But we are just so humbled that so many people were interested in learning more about how the school district operates. And it just helps our community to be more informed as well about what it takes to educate students from kindergarten through the senior year. So I'm going to read the names of the 12 community ambassadors. I'm going to ask you to grab your plaque from Mrs. Beltran, and you can stand at the place up here, and we'll get a picture here in a moment. And they're wearing and sporting their gift, their nice little uniform that we have for them, so you can see what's in store for you if you would like to apply to be part of the Tiger Community Ambassadors. I would invite the ambassadors to shake the board's hand. I know that they are very, very grateful for the time that you've spent learning about how the school corporation runs on a daily basis, and we're just very, very grateful for you spending time with us, so thank you for that. First, Emily Hart, if she's here. I'm going to read them faster while they're walking. That way they don't have to feel embarrassed being the only person walking in the room, so you all watching them. Kim Hefner. Bailey Hart. Matt Dennis. And oh, by the way, one of you all need to start thinking, because I'm going to ask a couple of you to give a testimonial here in a moment, but I don't know who I'm going to pick. So I truly don't know who I'm going to pick. So just assume it's you. Nikki Hollingsworth. Stay up there. Stay up here. Stay up here. We got to get a group picture. Tim Michael.
Just kidding.
Kevin Denninger. Ben Fisher.
Thank you.
Nicole Thompson Wethington. Mariah Allen Johnson. Tom Coons. And Josh Frost. All right. Great job, everyone. get their group picture. You want me in it?
I didn't get one either.
All right. Who wants to volunteer before you leave? Who wants to volunteer? We have a volunteer?
I'd be happy to. So first of all, for everybody in the public, I would strongly encourage the opportunity to apply, seize that opportunity because it really was enlightening and it was a good experience. But especially want to thank everybody that participated in the organization of this, from the school corporation staff and all the administrators and the effort that went into this. It was really apparent this morning. We were participating, a couple of parents, Ms. Hart and I were talking with parents at the Central 5th grade end of year parade to send everybody off to the middle school. And it was really a moment where I think we both started to unload about all the positives from the experience. Maybe a little bit overwhelming to the people we were talking to, admittedly, but it really was. There were so many things that we were able to really provide insight on the great benefit. And it was an eye-opener and reminder that our school system really is a shining star. And we are very proud of our students and what the school corporation is for our community.
Oh, I was actually going to nominate Bailey to do it. I'm a fifth generation Tiger, and I just love our school system. I have had a great experience growing up here, sending my kids through school here, still having kids in school here. And it's just been very enlightening and eye-opening, like Josh said, to kind of be on the other side of it, to see like all of what goes into keeping our schools going on a daily basis, from curriculum to how we work with our special needs students, which is something very near and dear to my heart, having a special needs student of my own, to all of the just incredible opportunities that are available to our high school students that just weren't here 20 years ago when I was a student, to the things we're doing for our littlest ones, because I also have a kindergartner starting this fall. I just encourage anybody with an interest and a heart and a passion for our students, for our schools, even if you're just curious as to what goes on, like I mostly was when I signed up, to give it a shot, put your name in there. It's been a fun school year, just kind of being on the other end of things, not being just a parent, getting the notifications from Parent Square, being involved in PTO. It's just kind of another area to be involved, see what's going on. I can't thank our administration enough for putting something like this together. I think it's a very positive thing for our community. I hope it's a program that continues for many years to come. Thank you.
Shout out to Mrs. Belcher for the best snacks.
I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time on behalf of the board, to taking time out of your evenings to come, days as well, that to see a little bit of glimpse of what we get to see on this side of things. And you just gain such an appreciation for the entire staff, the administration here, and we do have a top-notch school system, and we should all be proud. So thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Yep, get back up.
Go ahead, I'll introduce it.
The work ethics.
Yeah.
Sir. Next, we'll have the Tiger Work Ethic Certification.
Next, I'm going to invite Mrs. Dennis to the podium.
Good evening. Let's see if we can be as efficient as the adults were here in a minute. As part of our Career Engagement Initiative, each year students in the 5th, 8th, and 12th grades have the opportunity to earn the Pride Work Ethic Certification. This certificate is a way for students to demonstrate that they possess the employability and character skills needed to be successful not only at school, but also after they leave high school. We will begin by honoring our 5th grade recipients first. Throughout this school year, these students have earned no grades lower than a C, completed a minimum of 2 hours of community service, maintained an average pride score of 2.25 or higher, an average attendance rate of 97% or higher, and have no more than 1 discipline referral. In recognition of this accomplishment, we ask that each student in attendance join Dr. Milliman at the front of the room as your name is announced. You will be receiving a copy of the book, The Energy Bus for Kids, by best-selling author John Gordon. The students already received their work ethics certificate at their awards program earlier this month. From Central Elementary, James Custis. James Davis Jr. James Gass. Jordan Hart. Irina Huang. Molly Ladd. Liza Langebartles. Elizabeth McKinley. Liam Penzer. Hope Ramlong. Gunnar Shirley. Riley Vaughn. Charlie Wagner. Haley Wegner. And from Perryworth Elementary, Luke Lewis. We're going to get a quick picture with the 5th graders. Congratulations. Next, we will recognize our 8th grade students who have earned no grades lower than a C, completed a minimum of 4 hours of community service, maintained an average pride score of 2.475 or higher, an average attendance rate of 97% or higher, and have had no more than 1 discipline referral for the current school year. We ask that each recipient join Dr. Milliman as your name is announced. Each student will receive a copy of John Gordon's book, The Shark and the Goldfish: Positive Ways to Thrive During Waves of Change. They also already received their certificates earlier this month. From the middle school, Emma Alexander, Katie Bowling, Zavies Jackson, Brooks Johnson, Alexis Larman, and Drew McKinley. Again, we will take a photo with the 8th graders. Congratulations. Finally, we are honored to recognize 7 members of the class of 2024 as LCSC Pride Work Ethic certification recipients. These recipients have earned a GPA of 2.0 or higher, completed a minimum of 6 hours of community service, maintained an average Pride score of 2.7 or higher, have an average attendance rate of 97% or higher, and have had no more than one discipline referral. Tonight, Dr. Milliman will present each of these graduating seniors with John Gordon's leadership book titled The Coffee Bean. They already received their own black portfolio binder, their work ethic certification cords for graduation, and a district certificates at their awards ceremony. From Lebanon High School, Stephen Barber, Gabby Deakins, Tate De La Rosa, Emma Hornbecker, Bree Page, Monty Scholl, and Kate Williams. We hope that through this opportunity, students have gained an understanding of necessary employability skills for today's in-demand jobs and continue to demonstrate pride in all that they do. Congrats to all of our recipients.
This is where we normally dismiss everybody that is here for awards, but recognition, but we are actually going to, if you can just bear with us, there's a couple of things that Dr. Millman thought would be exciting for everybody here to hear about. So 2 more agenda items, and then we'll dismiss. How's that? So next item is informational items on school construction and renovation updates.
While I don't believe this is the exciting topic that you're referring to, while we don't have an update per se, I'd appreciate the opportunity to give a recognition here going into the summer. It's been a tough year for Harney and Perry Worth, especially with the construction going on. And I want to commend the faculty and students at both of those schools for hanging in there with us, as this is difficult phasing that's going on, and is major renovation that's going on of an occupied space with very important cargo inside. And the staffs, especially there, as you can imagine, the 9-week summer is crucial for construction projects, and there's a lot of phasing and moving that's taking place, and the cooperation of the staff, getting items packed up should their rooms be moved. I don't want that to go unrecognized. That is a heavy lift, no pun intended, that is going on at those 2 schools in preparation for the work that's going to take place this summer. A lot of the students in here, as well as administrators in the room tonight, happy to know that our brand new playgrounds will be in place at every elementary, even Stokes, as it seems there's no renovation taking place there yet. But there will be brand new playgrounds to come back to school too in August, and we're excited to see that. And I know the first student days I plan on spending some time at those schools to watch those be utilized as renderings, as all we've seen thus far. But there's been a lot of work there. In fact, Perry Worth students, you've likely seen the equipment being set in place, as that is taking place as we speak right now. So I did want to take the opportunity going into the summer especially to thank the faculty and staff and parents at those schools for their understanding and cooperation during these times.
All right. Thank you. Next, we are actually going to move this until we're going to be discussing a school board vacancy. Mrs. Jones is stepping down. She's moving out of the district. So we'll hear a little bit about that once our Ken Franzen, our attorney, is here to kind of walk us through that process. But know that the Perry Township vacancy is open. Next, consent agenda, staff matters for classified, certified, and ECA.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Parks. Under our classified staff this evening, we're asking for approval of new hires numbers 503 through 507, resignations 509 through 519, retirements numbers 520 and 521, and a technology support summer help position 522, and 2 terminations 523 and 524. Under certified staff this evening, asking for approval of new hires. I'm sorry, I have leaves of absence, my fault. We have leave of absence for 128 through 131, new hires 132 through 141, resignations 142 through 154, retirements 155 through 157, a transfer 158, and a updated contract number 159. Respectfully submit those to the board for your approval this evening.
Did we want to do ECA as well?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Parks. ECAs this evening asking for approval of new hires 496 through 500, and resignations 501 and 502. Thank you. Apologize for that oversight.
No problem. So do we have a motion to approve the classified, certified, and ECA staff matters as noted in your board background and as noted by Dr. Millman here?
Yeah, I'll move to approve as read.
Mr. Clauser. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hendricks. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. With that,
Yes, thank you. I just take a moment to congratulate 3 of our retirees this evening. Ms. Jackie Taylor spent many years with us at Lebanon Middle School as guidance counselor. Certainly wish her well, and whatever next chapter is in front of her and Dr. Taylor. And so thank her for that. Bernadette Clues, a special education teacher here at Lebanon High School, retiree as of your approval this evening, as well as Lynn O'Brien. And I think, Mrs. Scott, maybe this is retirement number 2 for Lynn, perhaps, or is this number? No, we transferred, didn't we? Transferred the position.
No, it's a first retirement. 2 years ago, she transferred.
Transferred. That's right. She changed positions, but Lynn has been with us for many, many years as well. Has been a very support of students in various ways. The exciting announcements. Mr. Levine also, I believe, has an announcement to introduce a new coach to us first here before we announce some of our new leadership team.
Just be brief, I want to introduce Zach McCullough, who will be our new head girls volleyball coach. We're excited that he's coming on board. Thank you for the opportunity. A lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, in coaching girls volleyball for a long time. So we're very excited to have him.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks. And I'm excited to announce three new members of our administrative team. I thought maybe folks this evening would like to meet the new principal at Perry Worth Elementary, new assistant principal at Hattie B. Stokes, and our new director of elementary and early learning for the district. So I'm going to bring them up here in a moment, read a little bit about them, and allow them to shake the board's hand and talk a little bit about their vision for their positions.
perfect.
Am I back? There we go. Happy to introduce the new assistant principal for Hattie B. Stokes Elementary, Maureen Rhodes. Maureen, you want to come on up here and join us? I'm going to tell you a little bit about Maureen, and then she can introduce the crew she brought with her this evening, perhaps, and maybe share with the board a couple thoughts about your excitement and vision for your position. Ms. Rhodes, she holds licensures in special education, elementary education, and school administration. She spent the last 9 years as a second and third grade teacher and a high ability teacher in Brownsburg schools. She's established as a teacher leader in the school, leading programs and initiatives addressing diverse student populations, including weekly site teams, and created a school-wide approach to addressing students' emotional and behavior needs. She developed programs to mentor new teachers and activities that celebrate all staff accomplishments or just to provide encouragement, right, to the staff. The interview panel noted that Ms. Rhodes had a positive outlook, experience with special education student needs, as well as special education procedures. And so her connection to students was very evident by the interview panel. So we're very, very pleased to welcome you to our team. Congratulations.
He wanted me to introduce my crew, and they just re-entered from some behavior, but that's fine. She's 2, so she's fine. But I brought with me tonight my family. I have 2 young daughters, a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. Hi, and my husband. I am so thrilled for you to call this a top-notch school corporation. Just makes me feel even so much more honored to be here tonight and really get to be a part of the Lebanon School Corporation family. I am so passionate about engaging with families and building connections and relationships with people and just really spending some time to learn the Lebanon way and what makes Stoke so special. So getting to work alongside Amber throughout all of that is just a huge honor for me. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love it. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce the new principal of Perry Worth Elementary, starting from next school year, Mr. Joel Larison. Joel? Mr. Larison holds licensures in special education, elementary education, K-12 physical education, health education, and of course, school administration. He brings experience as a 2nd grade teacher, intermediate school physical education teacher, 5th grade math teacher, and most recently as assistant principal at Tipton Elementary School. He has successfully led teams in schools in the development of positive behavioral interventions and supports. Tipton Elementary is enjoying very similar diversity shifts as Perry Worth, as we discussed a lot in our interview process. Mr. Larison has involved staff, including teachers, bus drivers, custodial staff, food service, to develop programs and procedures that have increased parent communication and involvement and celebrates our students' accomplishments. He leads teachers and coaches through academic data analysis that aligns curriculum and assessment with the teachers' lesson planning and strategies, and this work has led to significant academic outcomes at Tipton Elementary School. He's a certified Indiana School Safety Specialist and currently supervises the school's special education team. The interview panel was very impressed with Mr. Larison's energy, especially when he described his interactions with students. He also shared his commitment to addressing the physical and mental well-being of the staff. So he created a lot of team-building activities that united staff in an effort to support each other. So we know he will be a positive force at Perry Worth Elementary. We're thrilled to have you with us. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much. To say I'm excited would be an understatement. To come here and be part of the Tiger family and be welcomed like I have has just been absolutely amazing. With me today, I have my 3 kids there. Wyatt, who is 8, Henry is 7, and then Avery is 2. And with them are my wonderful parents who are helping collect all of them since they would be running around the boardroom if they weren't here. But really, I'm just excited. You know, Perry Worth, I know, has gone over some changes with population, along with some wonderful renovations and a new building, and now a new administrator as well. And I'm just excited to get started and to see where we can go with it. So thank you all for welcoming me. I appreciate it all.
And finally this evening, I'd like to introduce Ms. Maravine Inman, who's our new Director of Elementary and Early Learning for Lebanon Schools. Had to sit in the back of church, didn't you? Got the crew? Well, Maravine, you can stand over here or over there. You can stand wherever you want. It's your party. Mrs. Inman holds degrees in early childhood education, elementary education, and of course, school administration. From 2003 to 2008, Maravine served Kokomo School Corporation as Assistant Director of the Early Learning Center and Principal of Wallace Elementary. In 2008, she became the principal at John Strange Elementary in the MSD of Washington Township in Indianapolis. She's led schools with very diverse student bodies, including significant multilingual student populations and special education populations. Under Mrs. Inman's leadership, John Strange moved from a D rating from the state of Indiana to sustaining annual A ratings. She's continued this success as she's led the very diverse 720 student Clearwater Elementary since 2019. She has experience in training in Professional Learning Institute, Indiana Principals Leadership Academy, Jim Knight Instructional Coaching. Don't think it's related to Bob Knight, Mr. Hendricks, but Jim Knight maybe. Collaborative and Proactive Solutions, which is the Dr. Ross Green method, which many of our educators are aware of. Educational Neuroscience by Lori Desautel. She's a district leader in the MTSS process, High Ability Program, and the PBIS district programming. She was named the Washington Township District Administrator of the Year in 2015. We are thrilled to have her with us and to join our team, so I'll turn it over to you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Melman. I brought with me tonight my family, my husband Troy, and our daughters Maya and Macy. Also here are a number of my current staff leadership team. My ML teacher, my 2 literacy coaches, my math coach, especially one of my resource teachers, my music teacher, and my speech teacher, yes. And my speech teacher. Also, my best friend Stacy is here, who is also an educator, and not to be forgotten, my current assistant principal, who is amazing and also one of my best friends. So, thank you to all of them for coming. I didn't know they were all going to be here. They surprised me, so I appreciate all of the support. But to say to Lebanon Schools, I'm beyond excited about this opportunity for this. The growth that's happening in Lebanon Schools is so exciting. Dr. Milliman and I have talked over the years about all the great things that are happening in Lebanon, and I am so honored that you have brought me on board to be a part of this and to be a part of this community. Thanks.
All right. This is the moment y'all been waiting for. We'll take a quick break so you can step out. Thank you for your patience and for coming.
See you around, right? Good stuff. All right, thank you. You get it set up. You need to tell Joel about the email address.
Longer than normal.
These one of those guys are so good, they just kept moving to places to put out fires. But then they finally made like principal. He's got great coach.
Think we're ready?
Yeah.
All
Let's do
right.
it.
Let's go on to item 6, consent agenda business matters. First with the financial update, Mr. Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Included in your board packet this evening, as always, our monthly review as well as our calendar year 2024 review. As always, should the board have any questions about that, happy to answer any questions prior to reading the claims.
Any questions? No?
Okay, hearing none, then I'll read the claims for the month. Claims total $4,605,164.74. 2 payrolls, April 26th and May 10th, totaling $2,234,870.48, for a total between the two of $6,840,035.22. Appreciate the board's consideration of those claims.
All right. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the claims for payment in payrolls April 26th and May 10th as read?
I'll make a motion.
Mrs. Hutchison from afar.
Longest distance.
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Clauser. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have comments from the public. Do we have anybody
We did. No, I think we did that.
signed up? Just know if you could state your name, your address, and just note that the statement, we ask you to limit to 3 minutes. And we appreciate that. Thanks.
My name is Shelby Haas. My address is 3352 Firethorn Drive. I'm a Perryworth parent. This year was rough. The construction was only a part of that. But as you know, our population has drastically shifted. I am concerned about resources, extra staff for next year. I do know other schools in the district are also facing the same problems, but I just I'm here to ask you not to forget about little Perryworth that's down there, kind of closer to Whitestown. So I do know that there is a K-5 teacher that's been posted since April. SPED teacher also posted since the same date. What I'm hoping is that those are additional teachers for next year and not just replacements for any of the resignations you've gotten, because I actually don't know if anybody's resigned, so I didn't delve into that. That's their business. So, but I do know that at their kindergarten roundup, we had over 90 children come through. I think it was 92, and that I believe it does not include who they're retaining. We currently have 4 kindergarten teachers. So I'm hoping we're adding at least one more to accommodate for that, because I would hope that we have kind of the same, our enrollment I think was like 556 or something. It's been all over the place all year, but I'm in the building a lot, so I'm not just like a random person just saying this. I'm on the PTO board and I volunteer a lot, and I just recently started substituting, so I'm seeing a different side of that as well just recently. But I'm hoping that we can add more staff, that we can add more resources, including ENL, ELL, any kind of behavior enrichment. With the construction, with additional students, it's causing some behavior problems that I personally don't feel like were being addressed, because some of that was targeted towards my children in particular, so and some of my friends' children. But that's too much information. So, but I just want to ensure that we're getting the same resources that the other schools are getting. So, because I know that in the past we haven't qualified for certain things that other schools have, but I'm wondering if with that dynamic shift of population, if that's going to change. But there's what's really bothered me is, and the reason why I decided to substitute is I was seeing a lot of the instructional assistants being pulled to be a substitute, meaning they can't do their job. Meaning there's a possibility we're not meeting IEP needs or 504 needs or anything like that. So I don't know where I am in time, but I'll cut it there. So yeah, I'm just kind of here advocating. I feel like that's my job. So if you guys don't mind, in the next month or so, I'd like to see postings sooner than later, because as you guys know, you get better candidates earlier than later. So yeah. But that's all I want to say. So, thank you.
Well, thank you. Just a note too, board policy, we reason we don't respond, but we do take it hard and just encourage everybody to also talk with administration and continue that. So thank you. Now we'll move on to action items. Actually, I take it back. Kent, are you ready? Ready? All right, we'll circle back up to the school the school board vacancy effective the end of this month. Mrs. Jones, in June 1, Mrs. Jones will be stepping down. So we just wanted to have Kent talk about the process in filling that vacancy, and whether it be policy for our school policy or even state statutes.
So covered by both. We have a state statute that addresses how vacancies on community school corporation boards are to be handled. And we have a policy that provides some additional meat on the bones of that. This is not the first time it's happened in my many years as the lawyer, probably a half a dozen times. For one reason or another, a board member has left the board. And Mrs. Jones has 7 months left to serve on her term. Presumably, the board wants to replace her for that 7 months. The people of Perry Township would probably like to have a board member. You know, if it was only going to be 2 weeks, you might go without a board member for 2 weeks. But 7 months is certainly long enough that you should probably fill the vacancy for that time if you can. The state law allows this board 30 days to find a replacement of their own decision. So effective, her resignation date would be June 1st. We have until the end of June for you to find someone who fits the qualifications for the seat. Must be a resident of Perry Township, that sort of thing. They have to be willing to serve, all that. If we would not find a replacement, or couldn't agree on a replacement, because you'll have 5 board members, you'll have 4 voting on a replacement. If you end up in a 2-2 vote, the statute says that the Boone County Circuit Court judge is authorized to fill the replacement. And Judge Shine, could pick anyone who meets the qualifications of her choosing. So most people don't want to do that. They don't want to leave it up to the judge to pick some random person who may or may not be who you would like. If you can find someone, that's the preferred course, and we've never had to go to the judge route that I can recall. The procedure that you have in your policy manual calls for the position to be, public is notified. People who are interested are allowed to submit a letter of recommendation, letter of interest. That's up to you as to what you require. The last time we did this is when Mr. Klauser joined the board, when Liz Keith resigned, and he submitted a letter, and I think he was the only applicant. So if you do interviews, you must do them in a public meeting. If you receive a number of applicants and you want to discuss them privately, you may do so in executive session, but you may not vote or make a decision on your choice in executive session. It can only be done in a public meeting. If there's going to be interviews, then they have to be in a public meeting, either a regular board meeting or a special board meeting for that purpose. So you need to leave enough time for you to do that sort of thing and then make a decision. You could make the decision the same night as your interview, which is what you did with Mr. Klauser last year. The policy is a little vague. The policy says, which is often the case, these things get written over time. It says that the board shall interview all interested persons to ascertain their qualifications. But then the next sentence it says the board may interview no fewer than 3 prospective appointees. So you could probably interpret that either way. Either you do, as a matter of course, interview all. You do have the right to narrow it to a list of 3 to interview. Because of the way the policy is written, you should have, if you have any candidates to interview, you probably should interview them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It does say the board shall interview all interested persons. So, but you can narrow it to 3. So you don't have to interview 12 if you get 12 applicants. Not that we would ever had 12. You never know. So that's how it works. If You can advertise it however you think is appropriate, let the word out. If you have friends or neighbors or you know of people who might be interested, tell them it's open. They're only going to be appointed for 7 months. If they want to run, of course, they have the right to run, and if they would want to run for the Perry Township seat, the law is currently open. The election process between May 21st, which was yesterday, and June 20th, which is the deadline, anyone could apply to run for this seat. They have to get a certain number of signatures, as I remember. I don't know.
It's 10.
10. So, you know, the person who you appoint might choose to run. The person who, but may not. Who knows? After having been on the board, they may say, "I've had 7 months to apply." I don't know. So that's it in a nutshell. If anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I just want to thank you for making me feel so special by pointing out.
Won by a landslide.
Sole applicant.
Landslide.
That you point out the sole applicant.
You know, we were kind of stuck. You guys didn't have a lot of questions.
It turned out for the good.
No, thank you for the
I'd say,
update.
yes. With that, I think this will be our public notice that we will accept letters of interest from anybody living in Perry Township.
You probably ought to put a deadline on it so you don't have somebody show up at the last minute and get mad because they weren't considered. You know
Yes,
what
I was thinking a 2-week period to advertise to receive. That would put us to June 12th. Does that sound? That's a Wednesday, June 12th. Does that sound acceptable to everybody? To receive them, I'm saying to receive them.
Receive them. 12, it's more than, it wouldn't be June 12th, 2 weeks from tonight.
2 weeks would be, yeah, June 5th, sorry, June 5th. You're right, you're right. So June 5th, does that sound okay? We'll receive letters of interest from anybody, email to me, President of the Board.
And then depending on how many you get, you may want to have
Yep.
an executive session to talk about it and decide how many you're going to interview. You could probably plan to do the interviews at your June meeting if you want to, and plan to vote that night. If you can't vote that night for some reason, then you should probably have to call a special meeting after that to make the selection. As long as you get it done by the 30th of June, you're good.
All right, yeah, that's what we'll plan, June 5th, receive them. Letters of interest, we can discuss, I think we will have an exec session in June as well, that we can discuss internally. Then by June 18th, at the regular board meeting, plan to vote hopefully on an interview and vote on applicants, so.
You know, and the people who want to be considered, the letter of interest and maybe a statement of their background, their qualifications, their education, why do they want to be on the school board, you know, whatever they think you would want to think about.
Absolutely. With that, my email address is parkc@leb.k12.in.us.
It's under your name on the website, so.
It's under my name on the website as well. I know it so well. All right. Thank you, Ken.
Anything else you need from me? I'll go back to
No.
my other meeting if that's all right.
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you all.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah.
Is there a way to also get that on the website? Yeah. Put that information on the website? Good. Absolutely. Now we'll move on to action items. First is request approval of change orders. Mr. Dennis.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Ironically, as I mentioned earlier, year into these projects, see a lot of yellow on this month's change order log, as well as a few new features of the change order log. As a reminder for the elementary schools, the way that these jobs were packaged, due to them being renovations, the decision was made to include some allowance dollars. Basically, it's reasonable to expect some unforeseen items and conditions coming up, and including those allowance dollars in the bids that were read on bid day basically provide a bank of funds that are there to remedy these unforeseen conditions. But then also some contingencies were held back from the prime contractors that we were holding back that I guess would comprise the remainder of our budget for these projects. So the reason I bring this up is Now that we are almost 12 months into these projects, some of the prime contractors have experienced the number of unforeseen conditions where their allowance has been expended. And that is where we get into a change in the actual contract value, which is where I bring that to the board. As always, there are some scope swap items or some back charge items. As a reminder, we've experienced a few back charges already where one contractor causes damage to another contractor's scope, and they have to remedy that. And the way that that's handled is rather than vendors paying other vendors, because that you have no control over that payment happening, and they're holding a lien on our building as we do this, we, of course, pay for that, and then we deduct that from the other vendor. That's what we would call a back charge. But the two that are, I think, going to jump off the page at you here on this particular month would be at Perry Worth Elementary, one of which would be something that was planned all along. It was part of the strategy for the way this, we did not originally bid the playground site prep through our site work contractors. That was always going to be a change order, and that was included in the overall budget or contingency dollars from the beginning. So that is that Kreider and Kreider change that you see at the very top. The other one that was truly unforeseen was a undercalculation of the amount of cooling capacity that was needed at Perry Worth, and so that is the final change that you'll see associated with Perry Worth, and that represents some additional cooling modules, additional chilling modules, and then with those modules, of course, comes copper piping, the refrigerant to fill the copper piping, and since these are placed on the roof, the steel to support said extra weight, the steel reinforcement. And so the reassuring aspect of this, I will say, is you'll notice if you go all the way back to December for commercial air, you will see a nice deduct that we received due to some control swaps. So despite this being truly an unforeseen condition, we did have almost an equivalent deduct from that particular vendor back in December, and so a relatively I won't say immaterial, but marginal impact to the overall budget when you consider the entire scope. And I did want to begin sharing with the board, again, in the upper right-hand corner of every project, the total allowance and contingency remaining. So as I mentioned, some of these vendors, their allowance has been expended. They have incurred these unforeseen conditions to the point where the allowance dollars that were originally included in their contract have been expended, whereas other contractors have not experienced these conditions, and we have quite a bit of allowance dollars remaining. And so that's me hopefully providing reassurance to the board that there's plenty of allowance and contingency still remaining at each one of these projects, some more than others. But again, that is a new feature to this that will be updated monthly moving forward. So as always, happy to answer any questions about any of the change orders that you see on the log this month. But I did know that two would probably jump off the page as this month and wanted to discuss those ahead of time. But any further, happy to discuss, but otherwise would appreciate the board's consideration approving these change orders.
I do have one question. So the remaining allowance and contingency on each at the top, is that after the change or before the change?
That's after these changes. Or that includes these changes in.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, still look healthy.
Yeah,
in
yes.
those,
Yep.
yes,
Yep.
absolutely. So do we have a motion to approve the change orders as presented by Mr. Dennis? Mrs. Jones? Do you have a second?
Second.
Mr. Clauser? Have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is a request approval of appendices to master agreement with Myron Agim for the Stokes Playground.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. As we've proceeded through these projects, this has been our standard practice as each new project comes online to basically approve an appendice or a change order, if you want to view it that way, to our construction manager's agreement. They have staffing involved with overseeing the installation of the Stokes Playground. Since we don't have an active renovation going on at the Stokes Playground other than the chiller, that's why you see it as a change order on the chiller project. But nonetheless, this represents Myron Agim's management fees, of course, have always been incorporated into the budget for this project, but just codifying it in our contract with Myron Agim.
All right. Do you have a motion to approve the appendices to the master agreement with Myron Agim as presented?
I'll move to approve.
Motion.
Mr. Clauser, a second? Mrs. Hutchison?
Second.
Mrs. Hutchison. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is a request approval for Airmark contract.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. I want to take some time with this item. As the board is aware, Aramark has been a decades-long partner in the district for facility maintenance services, even back to when they were known as Service Master. Our 5-year, and that's been the renewal term, is 5-year of late, and June 30th of 2024 is the expiration of our latest 5-year term. Knowing that 5-year term was coming up, and as I've tried to read back on the history of this agreement, there are a variety of addenda, changes, and in fact, still intact references to Service Master, which is not Aramark anymore, that I asked Aramark to clean almost start new, because so much has changed since the 1990s, perhaps 80s, when this agreement began. And so that is what is in front of the board tonight. Happy to report that for all intents and purposes, there is nothing materially changing about the language or our relationship with Aramark should the board choose to accept this contract. What material change is not even correct. It is identical, is our fee. For 3 years in a row now, Aramark has agreed to hold the fee constant. This agreement still maintains our NCOE, or our non-capital operating expenditure clause that was instituted back in 2022. That is where we prepay Aramark $302,668.38 for the likely NCOE, or non-capital operating expenditures. Think of those as repairs. That is not our toilet paper. That's not our paper towels. That's refrigerant hoses that break. Repairs to lawnmowers. That number seems awfully specific, and that's because a historical calculation of what we spend on those types of expenses were made. But basically, we are prepaying for that amount, and that is all we will pay for that amount, up to $440,439. So basically, paying $302,668.38 covers us should those expenses elevate all the way to $440,000. Now, should they go over that, then we have to continue paying for that. Furthermore, Zach, what if we don't spend that? What if it's a great year? What if nothing breaks? The agreement in language here is that Aramark will spend that delta on beautifying the district, landscaping projects, things of that nature. So that money will stay, because again, we're prepaying that amount, but that money will stay with us. Other items of note here, $20,000 annual donation that is made to the schools from Aramark, that shall continue. So again, really nothing materially different in the language of this contract, other than it's cleaner now. There's no addenda referenced from the 1990s. Basically, starting a new relationship, if you will, but with a long-time familiar partner. So again, by far and away, though, the largest contract that the district enters into, so certainly worth any discussion prior to any action. Happy to answer any of those questions. But again, the broad overview here is there is nothing materially different between this relationship now or the past 2 years.
This has been reviewed by...
Of course.
Yes, of course. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the Aramark contract? We can ask for questions after. A motion to approve the Aramark contract as read.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Hendricks. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Jones. I have a motion and a second. Now, any questions, concerns further? They do provide a regular updates on what the expenditures every year?
Monthly reviews
expenditures,
of our NCOE progress, we call it. And we have been right at the mark that we have set. We have been on the lower side here recently. In fact, that did result in some investment from Aramark into the district, into some landscaping last year. But all in all, that's proven to be a pretty accurate number of actual expenditures. And the advantage there, too, is Aramark, being a multinational company, has a bit more purchasing power than LCSC. And so for the exact same item, they're able to purchase a higher quantity or at a better price than if we were to be the vendor of record for that. And so that's where the advantage lies for LCSC, other than, of course, the protection that we have should we underspend. Again, we've got roughly a $140,000 buffer of, I hate to say it this way, Joe, but free items if that's how it works out.
Probably a lot more quickly they can acquire.
Their name carries a bit more weight than ours, and that's no ego there.
And are the square footage numbers, are those accounting for the changes that are happening in the district?
Yes, so in the addenda or the appendices in the back, the new transportation facility as well as the new central elementary is listed.
All right, any further discussion? A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a request approval bid for Perry Worth summer asphalt work.
Happy to present to the board this evening the last approval for the Perry Worth renovation. You may be asking yourself, Mr. Dennis, why wasn't this bid on bid day? As the board is aware, a major ingredient in asphalt is, of course, petroleum. And when we bid these jobs in the fall of 2022, the contractors, knowing that this work would not take place until the summer of 2024, was not comfortable holding their price for 2 paving seasons. And so the intention was made at that point to wait to bid this. This is just the pavement, not the all the underlayment. Mr. Parks, I'm not sure if I'm saying
Subgrade.
Subgrade was, of course, bid on bid day by our site work contractor, but asphalt contractors are different than site work contractors. So this is what we'll actually see in the parking lots there at Perry Worth. Happy to report that 3 bidders participated on bid day, with the low bid coming in as Baumgartner, who is a very reputable and trusted paving contractor in the Indianapolis metropolitan area, at an amount of $199,781. We were budgeting over $300,000 for this, so yet again, a good result on bid day. Ask for the board's approval of that.
Do we have a motion to approve this bid for summer asphalt work to Baumgartner?
Make a motion. I'll give that one to Lisa.
Mrs. Hutchison, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Clauser. We have a motion second. Any questions? We did discuss this at bid time early on.
we?
Yeah. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is approval of adoption of the LMS science curriculum.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. This is actually a year-old item. As the board will recall, the state of Indiana made some pretty sweeping changes with curricular materials fees that could be charged to parents. LMS was ready for science adoption last summer. Many schools, including LCSC, elected to pause because at the time that these adoptions would take place, not enough was known about the law. The law wasn't finalized. The session wasn't over. And we didn't know what would be reimbursed, what wouldn't be reimbursed, and so the decision was made to pause. Now that we know more about that law, happy to bring to the board this evening a science adoption, I think first in a long time, for Lebanon Middle School. To SAVIS will be the curriculum that will be adopted, but asking for the board's approval to adopt science curriculum a year afterwards, but nonetheless important. So happy for the board's consideration of that.
All right. Do we have a motion to adopt LMS science curriculum as read?
I'll make the motion.
Mrs. Jones? Do you have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hendricks? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Was there a significant impact in terms of, do we have a better grasp of that at this point in terms of what this is?
Yes, it's actually, as is sometimes the case with my colleagues across the state, the actual implementation of the law was not as painful is the word that I'll choose that some of my colleagues were fretting that it would be. So it's just a simple reimbursement process. You share what your fees would be for your parents. If your parents were paying them, you just send it to the state instead of the parents. And that's how it worked out. We got a deposit in December, and it works well. Some schools are disappointed because the fees were more than the amount that was appropriated. We're right where we need to be. Every student in Indiana was I don't want to say was worth an amount, but the amount of their curricular materials was $158. So that's the average cost of a student K through 12. There are certainly school districts in Indiana, a lot of times secondary schools, who are taking AP classes and things like that, and their fees are, in the hundreds of dollars, 400 maybe. But our fees have historically been right there, and we're on pace even with this right here. So it is an accurate reimbursement for us, whereas some school corporations, it falls a bit short.
Any other questions? Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is approval of preschool grant submission.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Last item for me this evening. Essentially, in accordance with Board Policy 6110, any grant submission should be shared with the board and approved. I appreciate your retroactive approval of this, as the deadline was May 15th to apply for this. But what I'm asking for the board's approval on this evening is the Early Learning Indiana grant. And I was able to make a connection with someone at a not-for-profit company called Building Blocks, whose mission is early childhood education. And as the board knows, we have moved to a scenario where the existing Central Elementary is going to be a preschool for our 4-year-olds, at least to start, in Lebanon. And this grant is round 2. It's actually Lilly funds that were provided to the state to disperse, and it's for the implementation of early childhood education. We have a financing plan for preschool, but when I became aware of this grant opportunity, of course, we would welcome any dollars to help us implement this, purchase a curriculum, make any facility changes, and pay for staffing in the initial years. But due to the size of this grant, I did want to share it with the board. So back on May the 14th, I did press submit on a grant requesting $342,082 over the course of 3 years for assistance for us starting up our preschool. I'm not sure how competitive it is. It may be very competitive. We'll see. But I did want to share that with the board this evening and ask for, I guess, retroactive approval. But it would be a very welcomed bit of revenue to help our preschool. Again, I don't want to convey that we are in any way, shape, or form at risk of not moving forward with the preschool without this money. This is just purely something that came across my desk that I honestly felt like I wouldn't be doing my job to advocate for the financial wellness of our students and this school corporation if I did not do it. So asking for the board's approval of that this evening. Happy to answer any questions should you have them.
Thank you for doing that. So do we have a motion to approve the preschool grant submission as already submitted?
Whole motion.
Mr. Hendricks. Do you have a second? Mrs. Jones.
Second.
She beat you this time, Lisa. We'll get you next time. We have a motion second. Any further discussion?
Miss, do we know what the deadline is about whether or not we receive this?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Hutchinson. The fall.
Fall?
Yep.
Fall awards?
And just so the board reminder for the timeline, 1 more year at Central Elementary, then renovated to, of course, serve as preschool during school year 25-26, preschool opening August of 26. So really that timeline of receiving those funds, and we certainly talked through this with Mrs. Sheridan at Building Blocks. She actually was very excited about our timeline, where the timing of these funds would come in place. In fact, the grantees, or grantors, I should say, are excited at the amount of planning time that this affords us, should we be notified that we were to receive these funds. So hopefully we can come back to the board in October or November and share back good news on this.
Is there restrictions on the grant?
So you provide a budget, a fairly detailed budget on how you would expend it, but it truly is staffing, curricula, it could be furniture, basically what it takes to get a preschool off the ground. Anything and everything is an appropriate expense.
All right. Excellent. So do we have a motion? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have approval of 2023-24 summer school staff.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Parks. First, recognize Dr. Ottinger and her work on putting this together with our principals. This is an annual ask to approve the staff. for summer school, continuing to shift, as you see from your notes, more to the Indiana Online for our secondary students especially. This provides our students a lot of flexibility and options throughout that process. It's also fiscally a better option, quite frankly, for the district. You can see what we're committing to as far as paying for that first course, very similar to last year. Obviously, we have some mandatory summer school for our students who may need some assistance to get over the iRead hump, and so that's what you see from the elementary standpoint, but very similar format as you've seen in the past. Would ask for your approval so we can get our summer school off the ground here next week.
All right.
Or 2 weeks.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve the 23-24 summer school staff?
I'll make a
Jones.
motion.
Second. Mrs. Hutchinson?
Second.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is second reading of policy updates.
You have those in your background notes. Just submit those for your approval this evening, and happy to answer questions you may have. We went over some of the reasons for the skinnying up of the policy last time.
Yeah. Do we have a motion to approve the policy updates as provided in our background notes?
I'll move to approve.
Mr. Clauser, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hendricks, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, approval of diligent agreement.
Yes, this next item is from my desk, a way of addressing one of our key systems that we've adopted as a school district, and you adopt as a school board, which is the efficient, effective district and school operations. This is a board meeting management process, but it's a little bit more than that. However, it would streamline what you're all juggling in front of you this evening in paper form or in a share folder where you're opening, digging for those documents to open, et cetera. This will help Mrs. Beltran when she prepares board meetings, where she will now be able to add documents to actual agenda items. So it's actually part of the agenda, and be able to make whatever is public, what might be an executive content, and to be able to assign that to the board members or to the public. It has a website look to it as well. So if we're looking at resolutions that we have requirements for public notices, for example, they can be on a sidebar, if you will, that's more accessible. So it helps with the transparency from that standpoint of some of these documents and resolutions that you may be considering. It really is more of a board meeting landing page that has a feel of a website. But from the board member standpoint, it's just much more efficient for you to be able to access those documents agenda item by agenda item. So as you can see, it's got a renewable if we don't notify them, it will renew. There's some built-in, increases in fees, which is normal in these processes. It comes with some training. We've gone, Melanie and I went through some very, very basic training with the group to kind of see what the capabilities of the product is. It is owned by Board Docs, which holds our policy manual right now. It's a parent company of Diligent. So looking forward to this and making it a little bit more efficient process on the front end and the back end as we prepare all of these documents that we're working through for the board. So that's what the Diligent product does, and would ask for your consideration of approval this evening.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve this agreement with Diligent? Mrs. Jones. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Hutchison. Do we have any discussion? When will this be implemented? Be able to be? Okay. Okay. So pretty quickly will be being implemented. Excellent. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, we have request of authority to hire certified and non-certified staff for Dr. Millman.
Thank you. For the board's consideration this evening, this item is to provide the superintendent authority to hire new staff members and accept resignations during the time from this evening through the August board meeting. We know, as was brought up earlier, this is a competitive arena we're in right now, and fighting for staff when we're hiring over the summer months. And by giving me the authority to assure them that they have a position in August, that allows us to not, that candidate not answering that second phone call from another district perhaps, being able to do that. So this is a limited authority, but only for those months that it is the summer months, but it gives me the opportunity to accept those resignations on behalf of the board, and to, I guess, acknowledge that they will be hired as part of our staff on behalf of the board as well.
Excellent idea. Do we have a motion to provide authority to Dr. Millman for hiring certified, non-certified staff, and accept resignations from May 23rd through August 20th?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Hendricks. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Clauser. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is approval of 24-25 elementary handbook.
Guys, good evening.
Good evening.
First, I know, thank you very much for your thoughtful feedback. I received some of that from Mrs. Beltran and appreciated it and liked the rewording, so thank you. The first thing is we received and this would be for middle and high school too, but a change, I think you guys do have it, the food service that isn't reflected, that I will make sure gets put in there correctly. And then also on the elementary, I could not put in Joel's name or the new AP, so I will be adding those too. But you guys had a chance to look this over and realized our biggest change was in the discipline procedures and policies, which was just taking information from best practices that we know now and that we utilize and kind of rewriting it to fit what's best for kids. So, any questions?
No. Thank you for this.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to approve the 24-25 elementary handbook as provided to us?
Yeah, I'll move to approve.
Mr. Clauser, do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hendricks, the motion is second. Any discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next is request approval of 24-25 LMS handbook.
This is not Mr. Butler, for the record.
I volunteered to step in for Mr. Butler because my son is at play practice right next door, and it's why for him
Convenient.
to come over to Fisher's when I'm already going to be in the building, picking up at 8:30. So if you don't mind, Mr. Meyer and I would like to do our presentation together because honestly, the cell phone policy, the dress code policy that we're offering for change is actually identical. The LMS is just a little bit different because the consequences are different at the middle school than it would be at the high school. So that's really the big difference between the two of our policies there in the handbook.
And just so you know, to develop those policies, our assistant principals work together in a couple of meetings on the new cell phone policy that the state issued to us that we're following through with, as well as the dress code. That we had a committee of teachers that helped devise what our dress code would look like and what some of those consequences would be. And of course, it's progressive discipline. We're not going to nail kids right away, nor do we ever want to. So that is my piece of his handbook.
And I think the only other thing really we're adding is making sure the baseball and softball is in the handbook as well. As added to us.
All right. Do we have, we'll do these as two different motions. First, do we have a motion to approve the 24-25 LMS handbook?
I'll motion.
Mrs. Jones? Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Hutchison? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Yep. All right. Yep, ready for the high school.
All right. First of all, just want to thank Kristen Scott, who did yeoman's work on this handbook. She basically deconstructed it, reconstructed it, put some things in order that made a little bit more sense. We've not made real substantive changes other than the two policies you see. We have made a few changes in our bell schedule, which is to accommodate for our SST, a change in our homeroom policy, to create some more intervention support for students during the school day, and just a few policy things that had not been in there for several years that needed to be added. There's school board policy things that just belong in a yearbook, or a handbook, sorry. It's been a long day. So I appreciate your recommendation for approval.
All right. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the 24-25 LMS or LHS handbook as presented to us earlier this week?
Motion.
Ms. Hutchison. Do we have a second?
A second.
Mr. Clauser. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next is approval for overnight and out-of-state trips. We will do all as one, but Mr. Martin, if you could list them for us.
So we have a single elementary to Camp Tecumseh, that's Hattie Stokes 5th grade. One high school football to Wabash College, one high school basketball to Purdue, and two high school basketballs, one to Purdue and one to Miami of Ohio University.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve these overnight and out-of-state trips as provided?
All motion.
Mr. Hendricks?
I wanted to make him move to approve it with the Purdue trip there.
The Purdue trip?
Just to clarify, we're going to Purdue Northwest. The boys are. The girls will be headed to West Lafayette, but we will be going up to Hammond, Indiana. I wouldn't dare.
It's still black and gold where they can play basketball.
And I'll second on that.
I'll second on that, Craig.
You'll second on that,
Yeah.
Mr. Clauser?
We wouldn't do that to our kids.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or picking on Mr. Hendricks?
Looking forward to it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. With that, we will adjourn. Remember graduation Friday? Next meeting is June 18th.
Actually, we have a work session on the 4th.
Work session
So,
on the
and we
4th.
do have some important topics to cover with the board, some building project items as well as facilities that will be changing, and we need to talk about those changes and options. And of course, our enrollment rebalancing is going to really get kicked off here in the summer and in August. So I need to share some things with the board there as well.
Okay.
Last thing, thank you.
Yes.
This is your last meeting. It's been a pleasure and honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Honored to serve the community.
Yes.
It has
Thank you.
been. It's
Thank
been great.
you.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
really
much.
good.
We'll miss you.
We will.
So,
Yes.
thank you. With that, we will adjourn. Thank you.